Probably shouldn't have done that. Okay. Okay, we'll start with the funny stuff because this got a little bit tough there. It's tough because Larry and I had a real simple daddy with a lot of complicated layers. He was like an onion. The more layers you peeled off, the more you cried. I've heard so many good things about tonight, what a fine man he was, what a good man he was, a good neighbor, taking these young boys in under his wing to teach them to play golf. A lot of compliments that he made about Larry and me that we never heard except from other people. So it was complicated upbringing with this man. But he did teach us a few things that were priceless. Number one, a work ethic. We both worked very hard all our lives, and that's because Daddy taught us that you work hard. You always leave a place better than you found it, except for burning down a beach. Remember?
No, I remember.
Daddy doesn't like cockroaches, and he paid for a week at a little cottage on Fernandina Beach. He and Mama were so excited, and we were too. And got out and got a big load of groceries, and took them back and set up our little cottage, and got to bed that night, and about 10 million cockroaches came out, and Mama was fighting mad. They got up, tore that place to pieces. Mama wrote in red lipstick on the mirror about the damn cockroaches. It was just, but that's the only time my daddy didn't leave a place better than he found it. But he told us that. This is us. I want to recognize something though. Judy Arwood, our cousin, everybody knows Judy. Judy was Daddy's favorite. Favorite. Judy's been a rock to a lot of people in this community. She was absolutely, Daddy loved her to death. Judy could do no wrong. And I just thank her for everything she did for him over the last 57 weeks. Wasn't that right, Judy? Yeah. These are some words that Daddy never said. I quit. You'd never quit anything. If you started something, you finish it, and it would be right. You didn't half-ass nothing, as he said. You did it right, or you didn't do it. And sometimes we bore the punishment for that philosophy, but that's the way he felt. You can just leave that anywhere. Daddy always said, you put that right back where you found it. You never left anything just anywhere. Not with Daddy. It's okay to fill the tub up all the way. We had to take a bath in about this much water, and then we each shared it. This is no kidding. We did not have but one tub of water for 4 people to take a bath in. Larry, your hair's too short. He never said that, but I'm talking about when Larry's hair was long, and all he ever heard from Daddy was, get that haircut, get that haircut. Mia, you're too skinny. Daddy aggravated me all the time. On his deathbed, 8 hours before he died, he called her horse.
Watch out there, horse.
Just let the yard go. Daddy was a yard fanatic. His whole life long. Even when we didn't, before the days of weed eaters, or before the days of battery-operated hand clippers, and you just had the little hand clippers, there was not an inch of grass that did not get cut down by my daddy. Because every yard, and if he had landscaping, every house he ever moved to, he ripped it all up, so all he ever had was grass. But it was the nicest mowed grass you ever saw. Leave the lights on. Yeah, right. You left the room, the light went off. It didn't matter what or when. You never left the lights on, my daddy. Another phrase you've never heard my daddy say, African American. No, that does not fly. Daddy does not even know that term exists. Same thing with homosexual. Not Daddy. In his old school, that stuff does not exist. Damn, that's good macaroni and cheese, or shrimp, or meatloaf, or spaghetti. Don't fry that. Everything Daddy ever ate was fried. And the macaroni and cheese you put in front of him, he'd throw at your face. You know, you don't ever go to your dad's macaroni and cheese or shrimp or any kind of seafood or any kind of meatloaf. That's garbage. Let's go over to the church. The only time I was ever in church with my daddy when somebody died. And the day I got married to Freddie, that was it. That's kind of funny. We lived next door to one, but he wasn't going to go over there. You're a good driver. Every move you ever made, Papaw Coleman was in the car with you from the time I was 16 until I was 59. He would say, now watch it right there. You can turn right there. You can park right over there. Just park right here. Every move you made on the road, he was in charge of it. I'll have a glass of Merlot. Say Merlot to Daddy, he wouldn't know what in the world you were talking about. Just throw that trash out the window when you're in the car. It was the first anti-litter campaign in my knowledge because we were never, ever allowed to ever throw anything out the window. And we have embraced that our whole life and passed it on to our kids and grandkids too. You can just keep that old stray and just bring it right on into the house.
Ironically.
We've always brought home stray dogs and a couple of stray cats. And one of them disappeared. They seemed to have run back to where they came from, oddly. But they didn't stay at the house very long, and they sure didn't come inside. As you can see, he had one dog that got to stay inside. And he would probably be real happy to know right now that there's a stray dog in his house that my daughter picked up today. It's an old blue tick hound, and it's just Daddy's house is a disaster, and there's a dog running through it. Let's get a cat that can stay inside too. He hated cats. And I'll tell a story about Uncle Buddy while I'm here too. I wanted a cat real bad, and Daddy had got rid of the cat I had, so Mama said I could go to this place down on the highway, which was the Taylor farm at the time. They had a bunch of cats in the farm. So I go down there as a kid, not knowing that if you have to bring the cat home in a tow sack, there's something wrong with the cat. So we get it into the house, and it runs up under Larry's bed, and it is so wild that you can't even get near it. So Mom had to call Uncle Buddy to come over there in his hunting gloves and take that cat out of the bed. I don't know what happened to it either, but it didn't get to stay. It's okay. Come on in. You don't have to wipe your feet. Daddy's feet, Daddy's house, I don't care, he's 84 years old, and if there's a speck of something on the floor, he can see it. Or if you leave a crumb on the table, he can see it. But you always wiped your feet before you went in his house. Don't worry about the price. Daddy never thought you should ever pay anything, you didn't buy expensive stuff, except for one time when he, bless his heart, went out to that fancy shoe shop on Main Street, Marstown, and he wanted a pair of those, what are those shoes? I can't think of the name of this shoe right now. It's a real popular, expensive shoe, and he just wanted them because he thought the shoe looked good. He saw it in the window. So he went in and asked him if he could try those shoes on. They said, well, sure. So he put them on. He said, yeah, I think I like them. I like to have them. So he gets at the cash register, and they were like $100. And he was too embarrassed to tell him that he didn't know it was $100, so he was buying shoes. And I think that they were the ones he played in, or worked in the garden with in the last few years, so he kept them for about 20 years, so he got his money's worth. That's the only time he ever did that. You don't have to eat that if you don't want to. We heard about those starving kids in Korea our whole childhood. Kids, turn up the stereo. Lionel Richie's my favorite. One night I was at Daddy's and Lionel Richie was singing that stupid song, Dancing on the Ceiling. Daddy was sitting there and said, well, hell, father. It took a lot to write that song. Oh, what a feeling to be dancing on the ceiling. Oh, what a feeling to be dancing on the ceiling. It was so funny. Just wait and wash them dishes later. At Daddy's house, you got barely your last bite of food swallowed, or you had to get up and wash every dish, rinse every dish, and you had to make, he always said, don't stop on them dishes. And then you had to dry them and you had to put them away, because that was the perfect way to do it, and that's the way it's supposed to be done. Then we get to the serious part. Daddy also, if you knew him, you were under his tutelage. You never said you're right, I'm wrong, or I'm sorry. So the message here from us today, from Larry and me, is if you have people in your life that you love, you can't possess them. And you can't make them live to the standards you have. You love them unconditionally because they are their own person. They're unique. Especially Larry and I come from such a thoroughbred combination of Dot Harden and Papaw Coleman. But that message is that you just love people and you accept them no matter who they are, how they act, what color they are. And in the Daddy's last few hours, he said to Larry, you know, laying here like this has given me time to think about the things I did and said in my life. So I have to think that at that last little time, he wondered why he didn't say the good things to us that we needed to hear. Why he didn't say he was sorry for a lot of stuff he did. But it's history. And we're going to turn the page. We're strong people. We are who we are because of what the kind of raising we had. So here we are, and hopefully we'll make the best of it. Thank y'all for coming.